Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M1M, as you know, is the first global virtual accelerator for startups in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue, build $1 trillion in global GDP, and 10 million jobs. And in support of that mission, we do these roundtables, free mentoring roundtables. And this is our 349th session. So these have been going on for a long time. It started in the fall of 2008 with some tinkering. And it's that experiment that actually led up to the launching of 1M1M at the end of 2010 in its current format. And of course, we have modified a bit since, but largely the format remains the same as what we started with in 2010. If you're live tweeting the show today, please use hashtag 1M1M. Our Twitter handles are at 1Mby1M and at Romana. We publish a lot of interesting content through these channels. And also the 1M1M Roundtables channel on YouTube is where you'll find recordings of all prior mentoring sessions like this. And this one is also going to go there. So it's another great body of learning materials, video-based. And there are other videos as well that you'll find interesting. We'll see if we have time today to do a few videos. There are these short video tutorials we are doing right now. We release one a week, and they're all on YouTube, but I'd like to go over some of them here during the roundtables. So these are, by the way, the call-in numbers. We're not quite ready for call-in yet, but make a note. I will put the slide back up later on in the program. We want you to participate as much as possible. And this is a roundtable. It's not a broadcast. By participating as much as possible, asking questions and engaging with the content of this session, you're going to learn the most. So that's just my recommendation to you. We are going to start today with our guest, Dan Dillon, who's the founder of CleanItSupply.com. Dan, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Good morning, Sharmana. How are you? Great to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Tell us what you do. Tell our audience what the business of Clean It Supply is.
Sure. CleanItSupply.com is an e-commerce business that sells cleaning products, office supplies, industrial and safety, food service related items, both to commercial and to residential consumers.
And how did you get this business off the ground?
You know, it was a little bit of a fully charged crystal ball, but I felt as though way back in 2006 that soon enough the internet would be able to support selling products online and e-commerce and transactions there where convenience was a big play and big factor. And we decided to take my industry expertise. My background was commercial cleaning, and I was in the family business, and we sold it, and I decided to go hot and heavy with what I knew, and that was the cleaning industry. That's the core surrounding actually our brand, CleanItSupply.com, and that we were able to help those contractors and office managers and anyone who consumes cleaning-related products and be able to offer that to them in a convenience vehicle that we could deliver right to their doorstep quickly and have a broad range of offering of both professional grade and just your everyday consumables, the big brand names.
And so you said you had a previous family business that you sold. Does that mean that you put in some of the money from that sale into starting CleanItSupply.com?
Yeah, I made a small investment of about $50,000 just to get going. Things like computers, office rent, just to get going. But it was pretty much, actually there really wasn't much inventory because the model was to use wholesale distribution, so we wouldn't buy it until we sold it. So really a lot of the money was just pens, papers, desk computers, and getting set up to get going to have an office environment to solely focus on launching the business.
I see. So you took the orders online, and you used your prior relationships with these wholesalers, and then you bought the inventory after you received the order.
That's correct. So we would make the offering available on via data feeds and imagery and content and put it out there and build out the site, and then of course price it all out. And then when a conversion happened, we would then communicate with the wholesaler and say, we have this order, please place it and ship it, and then we would then get invoiced, on a 30-day rolling term, and we would pay. So we'd actually get the money ahead of time via credit card. So if a transaction happened today, I'd be paid tomorrow, but I wouldn't owe for 29 days after that. Correct.
That's a great model from a cash flow point of view.
Yeah, cash flow is king, right?
Yes. And also, let me point out that it's also a great model that you're not doing the shipping either. It's not like you have to buy the products, bring it into your warehouse and ship. You're basically taking the order, you're doing the marketing and the customer acquisition, you're taking the order and you're passing the order on to the wholesaler, and wholesaler does the packaging and the drop ship.
That's correct. So there's a value associated with that, right? And so there's a premium that has to be paid for. Therefore, it does squish margins, but from a cash flow perspective, it's correct. But yes, you continue to do what your company can do well, and for us, it's marketing. So the margin and the profits inside of that activity is then able to be reinvested in e-commerce type marketing activities, everything from search engine optimization, PLAs, email marketing, retargeting, you name it. That's where we invest that margin to continue to grow.
So talk about customer acquisitions. Marketing is your sweet spot. What did you learn in 2006, 2007? What did you learn was the key and most successful, most productive, profitable customer acquisition channel for you?
So interesting enough, that was kind of our specialty with search engine optimization, which is a longer process to build. It's more difficult to rank organically than it is to have quick and fast paid search. But then you're kind of building your business, from my perspective, on a house of cards, right? Only if you had money could you advertise. Therefore, we went to something to build a long-term asset for the business. While slower and more difficult, it bears fruit a lot faster and better when you're making the investments in search engine optimization. So that's the route that we took.
Mm-hmm. And how long did it take you to hit the $1 million mark from a revenue point of view, annual revenue?
So you're making me really reminisce here. We launched the business in late 2006, and it looks like we crossed $1 million in top-line revenue in 2009. So really we had 2007 and 2008 to ramp up, and in 2009 we hit the $1 million top-line revenue mark.
And what, so that's 2008, 2009, and we are in 2016. What are the current metrics of the business? What have been the growth rates?
Sure. So I can tell you that you and I met the first time in 2013. We were speculating to do about $5 million. We actually closed out at $6.3 million in 2013. And then here, fast forward to today, we closed 2016 at $11 million. And we're hoping to be about $13 to $15 million here for 2017.
And you have continued to maintain the same model through all this growth? You take the orders and the wholesaler does the fulfillment?
That is correct. We do inventory one or two small manufacturers, Sharmana, that we might not, I guess for lack of a better word, trust the data share with because they're smaller companies, and our activities and our audience, they could get too excited to potentially go after them, so we don't data share. So we'll bring that into our office and we'll cross-dock it and ship it. So we blind them from who the client is. But generally speaking, yes, I would tell you that 98% of our business is via wholesalers and all EDI communications. So yes, same model, just scaling it.
Okay. And have you done anything? Have you made any moves in the, last 8 years, let's say, to change the margin structure of the business? Have you
Yeah, so what's interesting is that's actually a current event for us. So if I flash back about 3 years ago, we approached the manufacturers and said, listen, because of the value add of the wholesaler doing all the drop ship and doing all the inventory, and we're doing the marketing side, we could really use support from you to do additional marketing. Can you support us? So we would approach the big companies such as Rubbermaid Commercial, Kimberly-Clark, Procter & Gamble, and say, will you fund us with marketing dollars to default or offset, rather, some of the lack of margin through the wholesaler? So we got the manufacturers to get behind us to give us money to increase sales. So we would actually be the person to pull through that inventory. So while they're stuffing inventory down the wholesaler's throat and saying, you must stock this and here comes 3 tractor trailers, they need somebody on the other side to pull it through. So knowing that that need needed to be met, I would approach them and say, well, why don't you give me some money and we will then do additional marketing, thus move that product through inventory, and everybody wins. So that was one of the ways that we were raising additional funds to power the marketing side of the business. But what's happening now is because of all the exposure and the additional marketing efforts we're having as we're growing as a company, what we're doing now is embarking on private branding. So now that clients trust our business, know that they're going to get the products they order, understand that there's a face behind the company, that we are now embarking on doing private label. So one such activity we did was our #1 selling SKU was a 2-ply toilet paper, believe it or not. We ranked #1 on the internet for the word wholesale toilet paper. So the word wholesale correlates itself to the commercial consumer, right? So it's our #1 selling SKU. We probably sell about $1.5 million a year worth of it. And we decided, you know what, instead of getting middled and we weren't getting enough dollar marketing support to offset the razor-thin margins in that particular product, that we would then go out to a manufacturer and make it and brand it our own. And so we ran that test in November of 2016, and we're just about sold through the tractor trailer load full, and that was our test bed because it was the largest dimensional weight, it was a low price product, and if we figured we could conquer or achieve some level of success with private labeling, that we could then scale that, and that is on our initiative plate for 2017 to scale that out.
And in that case, where you are doing private label products, what are the terms of the cash flow? So it's not like now you have to take inventory, is it?
Right, you're exactly right. So now the game changes, right? So cash flow becomes an issue. You have to be very strategic about what it is you want to bring into inventory. And now that we're a little bit more mature company, we can do that. But we too are considering, outside support or banking support to take one SKU at a time, crawl, walk, run, and see how we can achieve success. But you're right. Once you start inventorying, buying a tractor trailer full of toilet paper is $30,000, right? And there she sits collecting dust, and you better hope you got it right to turn that over. And then if you turn that over, then, the margin should be in it and it should be a wider win. And if not, then you just chose the wrong product or you just, pulled the wrong straw. But you're absolutely correct. Once you begin inventorying, that can really cash crunch the business, which could limit your marketing capabilities, which you never want to do from our seat. We don't want to do.
Now, have you established banking relationships such that you can finance that inventory through bank financing?
So our business has become mature enough where we can get credit lines, right, for the bank. And so the credit lines are very handy for that. Once the business began cash flowing over the last few years, we were able to systematically dive in and say, well, we can afford payroll, we can afford these marketing activities, we can do X, Y, and Z, but as soon as you start embarking on this concept of private labeling, you're right. Here you go right to the credit line, right? And you can use their money for that. I don't foresee that we're going to go to the point where we need outside money, but it's possible on how aggressive we want to be and how successful our tests and as we ramp, what's going to turn out to be like.
Well, I think if you can do it with, I think you can do it with bank financing, inventory financing, credit lines, and so forth. And there are any number of, creative tools, financing tools right now out there that would support that model. I don't think you need to go into any kind of equity financing for this business, right, at any time soon. So that's just my, read of your business.
I hope you're right. It all depends how aggressive we want to be, right? And I agree with you. One of the biggest things that we're proud about, and how I met you, was to talk about how to bootstrap the business. And we invested every dime we made back into the next marketing activity or the next investment in the business to help us grow, whether it's internal staff, computer developers, customer service folks, you name it. We constantly reinvested into the business and bootstrapped it. So to accept outside money or to give shares away of our company is not something that we worked 11 years to just give away for the sake of wanting to be greedy and scale bigger. So we want to be very methodical about how we go about building our business, and I hope you're right. I hope I don't need to go that direction. But, of course, we're able to guide that, right?
So how many people do you have on the team, Dan?
So I think we're up to about 35 full-time employees, yeah.
And how does that spit out in terms of functional areas?
So customer service, sales, operations, accounting, our technical department, and then something new for our business since we last spoke is we built a complete studio, a video studio. Mm-hmm. So we have a couple people in there as well. And in that studio has really changed the temperature of our business because now we've created over 2,500 videos in the last year and a half spotlighting product. And we're able to do that from a search engine optimization perspective, drive more organic traffic. It's really great Google food organically, and it's really propelled the business. And not only that, but really built the brand. So I would say customer service, operations, sales, and then our technical department, which kind of blends in with our studio. Okay.
You have a great question from the audience. John Spichka, I don't know how to say your name, John. I apologize. The question he's asking is, how do suppliers react to you having a private label product, and are you not now competing with your suppliers?
Yeah, great question, John. Absolutely, they don't like it, but at the same time, they can't forfeit the other, $8 to $10 million that we drive to them. So they understand that you have to build your own brand as well. So they understand that. They don't want to see you do too much of it, but in order to be a viable player in the e-com space and your competitors are doing it and you're not, you got to get on board. So they are a little apprehensive about it, especially if you pick their number one SKU. There's no two ways about it, but it also captures their attention to give you better pricing because, remember, your optimal goal here is to get margin. So, okay, Mr. Manufacturer, okay, supplier, motivate me not to do it. Give me more margin, and you'll save me and we'll work together closer. So that's really my rebuttal of, if the manufacturers don't like that we're private labeling, well then, give us more margin and we'll sell more of your product. Otherwise, we'll do our own.
It's a very, very standard practice in retail and has been forever is that once a retailer starts to get a bit of a business worked out, some portion of that business turns into private label just for that reason, for the margin reason. It's, retailers have done that forever. So then now if you think about you versus, so let's say I'm a commercial cleaning company or I'm an office that has a lot of cleaning needs and I need cleaning supplies. Walk me through the process of what is the advantage of working with you versus Amazon? Because nowadays Amazon puts toilet papers on subscription and all kinds of things, and they have incredible pricing. So why would I choose to work with your company?
Great question. So Amazon is the big guy in the room, and they are very price driven, and They're hell-bent on client acquisition and the lifetime value of the customer, and nobody does it better. Amazon's a scary monster, even for the manufacturers. So while we sell via the Amazon Marketplace channel, we also compete directly with them. We rank #1 for the word janitorial supplies. Amazon's #2. We trade places periodically, but this week, knock on wood, we're winning. So it's one of our big terms, but why should someone do business with us? Well, something that Amazon isn't good at is the consultation piece, right? Could you call someone, first of all, it's clunky to call Amazon, but could you call someone at Amazon and ask them how to strip and refinish a floor, how to buy the right carpet extraction machine, right? The specialty niche inside the industry. So there is value add with that. Me coming from a service business, we are really focused on the customer experience and being able to support them all through the sales process. And, of course, we want them coming back. We're trying to increase LTV as well. But our expertise in the space is what really separates us from Amazon. But the Me Too products, the big brand names, the Cloroxes, the Rubbermaids, the Kimberly-Clarks, the Procter & Gamble's, you're right. If it's a price game, you know, Amazon's going to win. They just are. And it's a race to zero. Now, with the repricing tools and things like that Amazon has, they do have thresholds. They know when to stop sign and when to quit. We've tested that, but generally speaking, Amazon is a trusted source, and that lends itself to making sure that our company becomes a highly trusted source when you visit. Everything from the speed of the website, the usability of the website, the ease of checkout, right? All those things are important in order for a consumer to have trust in your website and trust in your business. And then, again, the power of video to let them know that there's real people behind the business that really know what they're doing. So the value add to compete against Amazon is having your niche and knowing how to service that client.
You know, this is a question that is coming up a lot. How do you compete with Amazon as a small business, as a small retailer? And I recently, you know, we have the Thought Leaders in Electronic Commerce series on the blog, and we recently had the CEO of Magento on that series. I don't think we've published that interview yet. We are going to publish it, I think, in May. And you'll see this discussion exactly on this topic. Magento caters to, you know, tens of thousands of small e-commerce companies. And everybody is facing this question. And my take on how do you build a niche e-commerce company today is twofold. One is you need a user experience that is differentiated, something that Amazon cannot match. So whatever is your niche, within that niche there are opportunities for differentiation, opportunities for value addition, which is what you're pointing to in your case. People want to talk about certain products and certain functional activities that they need customer support on, and you have specialists who can walk them through by phone on those processes. That's #1. And #2 is actually product-based differentiation. In your case, that doesn't quite apply because the products that you're taking private label, like toilet paper, are actually commodity products. These are not differentiated products. But I do believe that if you are audience, if you are thinking about starting an e-commerce company today, you have to keep in mind that you will need to compete with Amazon, and you won't be able to compete in like delivery time. Amazon, even $2 products, Amazon is going to deliver next day. You can't compete with that. So you're going to have to compete with user experience, and you're going to have to compete with product. So if the ideal situation is you have a user experience differentiation and you have a product level differentiation, a product that is a unique product, a private label unique product where you can, which is not available on Amazon, and people have to buy it from you. That's my kind of analysis and synthesis of the retail e-commerce market today. Well, do you agree with what I said?
Sharmana, I agree with everything you said. You hit the nail on the head. You know, just to reinforce your statement, I was at the International Retail Show in New York, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, And I was going up and down the aisles, and you know how you go to some of these shows, you don't understand what the heck the company does because there's such broad or vague messages. And one particular backdrop displaying at the booth, I could understand what the company did, and I stopped and I said, how are you going to tell me to compete with Amazon? And nice gentleman, I don't recall the name of the company, and I said, well, private label is the only way to get around it because you can't do the Me Too activities, right? You're not going to Me Too and compete against Amazon. You're just not, to your point. So one of the fastest way around it is being able to have a private brand. You have to build that brand, but have a private brand, and it could be a similar consumable product like our toilet paper, but you know, toilet paper might not be the best example, but being able to private brand is the way you can beat Amazon, where you get your own ASIN number, and you could actually find that feed to compete against the big brand names. And when I began describing that to this gentleman, he took me by the elbow and he kind of shuffled me away from the booth. He goes, that's it, right? He says, you don't need me, you don't need my services, but you hit the nail on the head. So to reinforce that your point is correct, there's actually companies out there selling that secret sauce as the message, whereas you were able to lay it out right there just a moment ago. So there you have it. You're right. The private label is it.
So a couple of questions in the audience. Sachin Kanade is asking, what was your motivation and strategy to enter the e-commerce market where already big players like eBay were playing in the business?
Just a lot of nerve. I got to tell you that it wasn't just nerve. I knew I was an expert in my space, and I knew I could share my knowledge.
I think it's your domain knowledge which drove you into this space. My read of your story is that you really had expertise for a lot of years in that in the cleaning supply space, and you just wanted to turn it into an e-commerce business.
You're absolutely right, and no one really looked at the janitorial, the Jansan vertical as though it could be specialty. And me being in the business, I understood it was. And not everybody with a mop bucket and wringer can have a commercial cleaning service business or know how to utilize chemistry and chemicals. And in the Northeast region here, I realized how important that was. And so I want to share that knowledge, that skill set that I had, and be able to power it or stand behind it while selling the products and helping people. And once you earn their trust and their loyalty and you help solve problems and you're there for them, with a customer service aspect, you will have a viable business. People will come back to you, and they will be loyal to your brand. So that's kind of the reason why I started, was because of my industry knowledge. So my advice to the listeners is, if you are an expert at something, I don't care if it's knitting, I don't care if you know how to clean leather couches better than someone else, or if you're really good at detailing cars, or whatever it may be. Take that expertise and broadcast it and get behind it, because no one will be able to challenge you, because you are, in fact, the subject matter expert in your space, and there is where you can build a viable business, whether it be against Amazon, with them, as a vehicle, you name it, you can run with it if you're an expert in your space.
Now, I have a favorite example of this, really playing into the domain knowledge as your competitive advantage. You know Blue Nile. Blue Nile is a, public company. It's a multi-$100 million a year diamond retailer. So they sell diamonds online. And the founder had, again, domain knowledge because of his family business in the world of diamonds. And contrary to the popular belief that women buy diamonds, he understood that it's men who buy diamonds. And the way men buy diamonds is very different than how women buy diamonds. So he built a whole business around that expertise. In 1999, Blue Nile was started, and it became a very successful retailer, kind of off-center from Amazon and eBay, because of that deep expertise, deep domain knowledge, and Mark Vadon built a fabulous company based on that domain knowledge. So don't underestimate the power of your domain knowledge. If you do have domain knowledge in any area, pay a lot of attention to that. And this is not just in e-commerce, by the way, in anything. Even if you're doing a software company or hardware company, if you have domain knowledge, that is of immense value, and you can do something special with an unfair advantage in that case. We'll take one last question from the audience. Indraraj Chavda is asking, Dan, what is your advertising strategy?
A great question. So we do there's a lot of moving parts in e-commerce. Foundationally, search engine optimization, I believe, is what you fundamentally need to power an e-commerce site. We do a lot of product listing ads through Google, and we also do email marketing. So once you're capturing these audiences, to make sure that you are facilitating your existing clients with messaging to stay in touch with them. We also do data feeds out to the comparison shopping engines, and we engage with Amazon, of course, in their marketplace, and with eBay. Do not discount eBay. Everyone had there's a stigma with eBay that it was just a bunch of garage junk, and that's not necessarily true. The majority of the products on eBay are new products. It's a viable marketplace. They do a great job. So the only downside about doing business with Amazon and eBay and their marketplace is that you cannot follow up and contact the customer other than through their portal. So if you're driving organic traffic that you own that client customer base, you can then establish a sales force behind it, which we're beginning to grow now, and have them follow up with them clients, learn more about them, and sell them more, and increase the average order value size of your business. It's not necessarily how much traffic you can drive, it's how profitable you can make your clients, the clients that you have in hand. And for us, that was a success for our business. But yeah, it's email, it's search engine optimization, it's the marketplaces, it's retargeting ads, it's Facebook retargeting ads. I could go on and on. I mean, it's a lot of digital marketing efforts. Does that answer your guest's question?
Well, we are going to move to the mentoring portion of the roundtable, and then we will take more questions in a little bit, okay? So Dan is staying for a bit of the mentoring session. Folks, I want to set the expectations in terms of presentations here. And this is true for all of you who will be presenting today, as well as those of you who are thinking of presenting in upcoming sessions. There are lots of sessions all through April, May, June. So do plan on presenting, do plan on coming and discussing. Just remember that this is a working session. It's a safe place where you are welcome to come and discuss what is bothering you and what kinds of things do you need help with. And we are on your side. We are here to add value to your journey, to accelerate your journey. That's the only reason for doing these sessions. And it's okay if you disagree with our feedback, that's fine. It's your venture at the end of the day. You decide how you're going to play it. Remember one thing though, not all businesses can raise money, not all businesses should raise money, and raising money doesn't guarantee success. That is a fact. This is a non-negotiable fact, and there is a lot of complexity in underneath the decision of whether or not you should raise funding. Can you raise funding? Are you fundable? Blah, blah, blah. So that's something that you have to contemplate with quite a bit of, thought. And if you're not pitching, continue to participate. I'm thrilled that you're asking lots of questions, and keep asking questions, keep engaging, and make this your roundtable. I believe Al is not pitching. He sent in his slides, booked the slot, and then last minute maybe had cold feet or something. Anyway, Prateek, Prateek Kishore, you're going first. Please unmute your line and tell us what are you working on.
All right, so a very good evening from India. It's almost 9 o'clock here, so I would say a good evening from India. And this is my idea. If you can hear me, please confirm. If you can hear me fine.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Right, so this is my idea, that is of a travel cafe, and I have named it YoBanjare, which is like kind of a branding of my own. Banjare in our language, Hindi, it means people who keep traveling from one place to another, and that's their lifestyle. So this is the idea. You can go to the next slide, please. Right, so this is me, and I currently live in New Delhi. I was born in New Delhi. I've lived here for 27 years. Just 4 years I spent in Kerala, where I did my graduate engineering in electronics and communication. And I worked as a scientist in DRDO for 6 years. And then I quit my job around 4 years back in 2013 to start something of my own, which was not very clear in the beginning, right? So this is me. Next slide, please. Right, so this is the idea of YoBanjare Travel Cafe. This is the logo that I've designed myself, and it is going to be a chain of franchisee-based travel cafes across India that provide single-point solution for all budget traveler needs. Right, so this is one thing. So when you visualize one travel cafe, it is going to be a single-point solution for all backpacker needs, all budget traveler needs. I'm going to talk more about what these needs are in a bit more detail a little later. So this is the operational thing. This is the thing that's going to be on ground that people are going to see, the customer is going to see. The second part of this is that it's going to be backed by information technology, and the plan is to generate big traveler data bank in about 5 years' time. Right, so this is something that the client is not going to see. This is what is going to make this idea big in terms of revenues, in terms of whatever else you can think of. Right, so there are two parts to this. Right, we can go to the next slide. So this is the picture. This is the big picture. We're going to start from New Delhi. We're going to start from New Delhi with a single cafe. I've already done a prototype in 2015. I had built and tested and ran that cafe for 1.5 years, but it was not in a location suitable for such a work. Although I got really good feedback, which I'm going to talk about a little later. But what we're going to do now is we're going to open the first cafe in the place where you have a huge number of footfalls of backpackers and budget travelers. That's just next to the New Delhi railway station. That's the hub of all people flying into India and also domestic travelers. And then we're going to do this, as you can see from the picture. We're going to spread on all the major cities and all the major traveler circuits. Next slide, please.
And are you suggesting that you're going to put your cafes next to railway stations in each of these cases?
Yeah, so the idea here is that location is critical for us. So I watched this movie, The Founder, about the McDonald's, the McDonald's story. So there I got an insight that McDonald's business is more about the location, and then they switched their model to that. So in our case, what I tested, we tested the cafe in 2015 in a residential area, right, where people were living permanently. So it got the feedback, but it's not built for, this idea is not for that place. This idea is for places like next to the airport, next to the bus stations, next to the railway stations, and I'm going to explain why is that exactly. Why is these travel cafes designed for that place, right? So once we have done that, once we have built that chain to a great degree, I would say not the entirety of covering the entire nation, but at least a few major cities and circuits, then we can start generating this data. Now this data is going to be comprehensive, and a customer, a client, a traveler, once he's connected to us, he is never going to go away, because there's nothing like this right now. We have OTAs, but OTAs are not personal. Okay, so this is what our target customer is. It's the backpackers and budget travelers, both foreigners and domestic. And I can say that 400 to 500 million people in India are young. They are in the age group which travel a lot. So we are focusing on the domestic market as well, and not just foreigners. The problem here is the travel industry in India is highly disorganized, and it ruins the entire experience with huge costs. So the solution that we are providing is we have a well-designed single service point for all the traveler needs, and it's going to be 24/7 nationwide network backed by IT support, right? So this is our solution to the problem. We can go to the next slide. Right, so how exactly do we acquire our customers? So what we're going to do is, what we're already doing is create a brand through targeted marketing at specific locations in India and abroad. So I watched this interview with Dan, and he said that he got really good results with SEO and also by creating videos of his own. And that's what we already are doing. We have a YouTube channel where we are producing short videos of 2 to 10 minutes about India, India Explained, things like that. So that's how we get people's attention. And then we have to target specific locations where people start thinking about what they're going to need in India, and we're going to place ourselves right in those positions. We're going to run a creative social media campaign using, as I told, short films and videos touching people emotionally on the subject of travel. This is something like what Nike does and what Steve Jobs just talked about is about his marketing strategy of connecting emotionally with the customers. So promoting referrals and using branded merchandise is to boost the word of mouth publicity. In my experience of working in this field for about 3 to 4 years, I've seen that word of mouth publicity works best in this field where you have one traveler recommending this place to another one. So we're going to boost that by promoting referrals. We're going to actually give cashbacks and other incentives, and also use branded merchandise, like going to gift bags, or maybe print everything, print our logo and things, and so people start having conversations about our brand, and then they tell, okay, I found this there. Okay. Another thing is that we're going to use creative means. I need to cover, can you go back? Yeah. So we are going to connect with local service providers to incentivize leads. Now this is something very Indian, where you have people on the road providing services. So we're going to connect with them. This is something very unconventional, which you cannot find in the West. Right, we're going to make a strong statement about our core values. As you can see here, we watch your back, we connect you, you travel, we organize, we're on the ground with you 24/7. Right, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, we can go to the next, yeah. So customer validation, what we have done till now. So we have had about 100 foreign clients and about 5 times of that of domestic clients who validated this idea, appreciated this idea in the travel cafe that we built in the residential area. We acquired them through channels like Couchsurfing, Airbnb, Facebook advertisement, and once we had a good number of people in our travel cafe, they told other people, and through that we got other travelers, that is word of mouth publicity and referrals. So a typical use case of a client coming into the travel cafe is that he wants to travel across Delhi and go somewhere else in the evening. So we are providing him luggage storage. He gets to cook his own food, and he gets fast food there in the cafe. We take care of his medical emergencies. We've already done that for a lot of people. We have a phone support for him, so we give him a number, and he just doesn't need to ask anyone on the street about anything. He can call us directly, and he doesn't pay anything for that. Travel planning and bookings, which is something very standard. Bath and washroom services, which is something very not easy to find in India, where you can just take a bath and just do your stuff and go away. Right, so we're going to provide that. Merchandise, something that is required by all travelers, rucksacks, lunch boxes, medicines, all things like that. Infotainment, you tell them about what exactly is going in India, videos, books. Telephony is something very important, so give them a phone, we give them a SIM card, it's already working. Social networking is something very important, so we connect them with local people, something like Couchsurfing, but in the real world, not without the website. Without the website, I mean, and so people come into the cafe and they find the local people and they talk to them and then go around and make their own acquaintances. Events, accommodation, transportation, this is all standard stuff which is not in one place, so we're going to bring everything in one place. If we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so this is the idea. So the challenge for us is to we already built a prototype. Now the challenge for us is to bring it to life in the location that it's needed in, and then to make it work there, and then to make more like that, 2 or 3 more in New Delhi, and then take it ahead. Now this is going to be on ground, and in about 2 to 3 years time, we need to start building upon the data. Now these are the 2 things. So my question to Shamana, my question to you is, first thing is that I would like to tell you this is the first time that I'm officially pitching this idea in front of someone. I've been working on this, me and my team. I've been working on this for 2 or 3 years, but this is the first time I'm officially talking to anyone on a formal platform anywhere, offline or online. So this is a very big thing for me. So what kind of investors would be interested in this kind of idea, which is kind of long term, which is going to dig deep, which is going to generate revenues? Of course, for the first day, if you have a cafe, you start selling burgers and Coke and everything, stuff like that, but it's not a $1 million idea from the day one. But then you need to stick in, and in about 3 to 5 years time, once you do everything right, you're going to have the big data thing, and then you can use it in many ways. I'm not going to spend time on that. It's pretty obvious how we're going to, the possibilities. So my first question is, what kind of investors?
The kind of investors that may be interested in this idea, Prateek, is friends and family. If you're looking at professional investors, whether it's angels or VCs, you have to fully internalize the fact that these people are looking to go from 0 to $100 million in revenue in 5 to 7 years. And your business doesn't have the characteristics of that, and that's number one. The second thing is stage, right? This is kind of kind of concept stage, really. You don't have this validated in any reasonable way. You know, right now you don't have a pilot site that works, that has all the pieces validated, whether it's customer acquisition or financials, all of that stuff. So, so I think, you know, this is not a kind of business that is ready for any kind of venture financing. So now, so the other question that came to my mind as I was listening to you, a couple of questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dan to weigh in. One is, you mentioned that there are, you know, 200, 300 million young people in India. Well, that may be true, but the truth is you have to zero in on just the people who travel in the way that they travel, that you want them to travel. So you are looking for the backpackers who are traveling through the train stations and of a certain age group. So, and if you put all those filters, you'll see that this 200, 300 million, 400 million number is going to very quickly shrink to a, you know, few million, maybe 10 million, but it's not going to be hundreds of millions, but it's more likely actually to be in the 1 or 2 or 3 million kind of number, which is good. Because then you can really deeply understand the characteristics of that audience and design your value proposition around that. That's one thing. And the second thing is a pure practical, pragmatic question. And I'm, you know, I'm thinking of your idea, and I'm putting that in the context of my primary experience has been traveling in India through the Howrah station in Calcutta. I'm just thinking that how on earth, if somebody doesn't actually tell me about you ahead of time, just from a foot traffic point of view, I would not be able to find your travel cafe in Howrah station. It's too big, too crowded, too messy.
So that you have actually answered my my thing that I would have answered. So the whole challenge for us in the marketing domain is to tell people beforehand. So when they're in their places, for example, you're in somewhere in the States right now, and you start thinking coming to Calcutta. So this is the time when you have got to know about our cafe, not when you land in Howrah and not when you're on the street. So you got to know right now when you actually start thinking. So that's the challenge for us. We've got to get into places where people actually start thinking about coming to India.
You have to think of this business as an online first model, because your entire brand engagement it's an online-offline model, which is an interesting model because it's a differentiated model, but it also has more costs and more complexity on many levels. Operationally, it's a much more complex model. But you have to think of this as an online-offline model, leading with online. Your customer acquisition will have to be online. And if that is the case, then you are talking to not only Indian customers, and you're also talking to foreign customers. You may think of the brand as changing the brand. YoBanjare is not going to fly with foreign travelers. It's complicated. It doesn't mean anything to them. Dan, let me turn it over to you for feedback. Dan?
So do I speak now? Okay.
I was asking Dan for his input, but go ahead.
Sorry, I was on mute there, guys. I apologize. Prateek, I love your idea. I love your enthusiasm. I want to give you some good feedback
Thank you,
I am not. So congratulations to you and your idea and your team. You came up with some good stuff here, and I'll give you my 2 cents for what it's worth. I am not a world traveler, although I do business trips. I just came back from Barcelona, Spain, and I was scared to death to go out in the streets because I didn't want to ask anybody anything because I don't speak Spanish. So I can imagine I'd be overwhelmed if I went to India. I have some friends who live there, who go back and forth, but I've never had the pleasure to be there myself. The idea that you had in your earlier slides about phone support would suppress my fears of going to India, because now I can go to a destination location, I can pick up my phone and ask my questions without feeling awkward, and I'm more comfortable to learn what it is I need to do and where I need to go. The bath and washroom ideology I have friends with the older children that travel that I would assume would use that. I love that. I don't like going anywhere without bath or washrooms. I think that's an awesome idea. The toy in the Happy Meal, since you spoke about McDonald's, is giving them a phone. That's pretty cool, right? If they had a phone or a SIM card or something to operate and be able to communicate in India without having to worry about extended plans or whatever it is, the ability for them to communicate while on vacation, while traveling, is awesome. So those three things, I want to give you kudos. Congratulations for thinking them through. That's cool. Now, how do you get them there? Sharmana just hit the nail on the head, and you confirmed. Pre-plan a target audience and use it from a digital marketing perspective. Whether you're trying to get me to come to India, or if I'm thinking about going to India, I want you to go to Facebook and use similar audiences. And I want you to market the living daylights out of me. I want you to chase me everywhere I go to tell me that I need to come to your facility to get this kind of support and this kind of warm welcome and have that kind of sense of security, right? I want to have an enjoyable trip. And you're on to the experience part. You got that figured out. But I think what's important is investing your monies into driving that people to you, because you are going to be a destination location. Now, with being a destination location, Sharmana also hit the nail on the head. If you're trying to drive Westerners or people from Europe, you're going to have to create a name that will strike a nerve amongst all audiences. I didn't understand what your name means while creative in your country and your heritage. That doesn't mean anything to me. And you want to cater to the people who have the money, right? You're going after the people that have the money. You got to strike a nerve with them. So coming up with a brand and a name that's going to be practical to your audience that can go viral is a big deal. If someone can't spell the name, easily identify the name, it's going to be very hard for you to market that or a logo associated with it. So as you can see with my company, it's cleanitsupply.com. Well, what do you think you're going to go there for, right? You're going to clean something. You're going to clean it up, right? So you want to start focusing on a name surrounding who's going to be spending the money. And so that I would reinforce Sharmana's idea of branding that to who's got the money. But I love the idea. I can hear the energy and the excitement in your voice, and I absolutely love it. It gives me goosebumps because I've been there, and it's refreshing, and I believe that you could also be very, very successful with one location. 2 locations. I don't think you need, I think you could bootstrap that, raise money from friends and family, reinvest your own money, work hard, sweat equity, and do digital marketing very inexpensively. But I believe you could be wildly successful with a handful of stores, 1 or 2 or 5. I don't know that you need 20 or a zillion. Hit base hits first. In the Western culture, the all famous sports is baseball, and we say, hit base hits before you start to swing for the fences for grand slams and home runs. So prove the model out and be a profitable business. That's when you'll be able to sell it to venture capital if you decide to, or the next step.
So Prateek, your other questions on this slide about big data. Right now, you will not be able to sell this as a big data idea. Because you don't, it's going to be a long time and many cafes and lots of customers before this is going to be a big data idea. So even if you try to sell this as a big data idea, no one's going to buy it. I would take that out of this presentation altogether. You have no credibility there. Can you crowdsource this idea? I wouldn't crowdsource this idea. I would control it as tightly as possible. The first cafe, I would look at every little detail. Every knob, every lever that you can tweak or move to figure out exactly how this is going to flow and how the business is going to be built, and get one cafe right and get the online customer acquisition piece right. So maybe put it next to the Delhi train station, get your online presence right, but you have to bootstrap all this. There is nobody who's going to invest at this stage to get these pieces to fall in line. And your question about whether you can hire people, yes, absolutely, you can hire people. You can do all of that through hired staff, but it all costs money, and that's just, you're going to have to figure out a bootstrapping strategy.
Right. So yeah, I got an idea of what you're trying to say, and I understand that I have to put my own money. But I'm betting on the fact that I might find someone here in Delhi. We have some people who might want to work with me on this and put because I don't have that amount of money. I need at least let's say $1 million rupees, 5 million rupees right now to start it. Next to the New Delhi railway station for the marketing, for the technology thing, for the app and website. No, I'm betting on the fact that I'm going to find someone who's going to work with me from the start. Somebody who's already in this business maybe. So let's call him a friend. Let's call him a friend for now. So what my question is, how much?
See, no, there's a big difference, Prateek. There's a big difference between a random person and a friend or a family member. A random person who's looking at this as a business is going to be a lot less willing to do it, to invest. A friend or a family member doesn't invest in the business, they invest in you. They know you, they know your energy, they know your commitment, they know your capabilities, and then that's the circumstance in which you would be able to. That's why friends and family rounds are the only rounds that work at this stage of a business. Professional investor rounds just don't work.
Right.
And random people definitely don't work.
Yeah, I got this idea. So my final question is, let's just hypothetically think that there is this guy who is my friend, whom I don't know, who has the money. So how much equity should I give to him at this stage, considering the fact that I'm not willing to partner with anyone on this idea as far as the vision and the design part is concerned, because I see how that can create contradictions. I watched this movie about govworks.com, which was in US. We had the example of housing.com in India, how they crashed. So I don't want to partner with the vision, on the vision part and the design part. Now, considering this, how much should I be willing to give as equity if there is one guy, let's say my friend, who has the money?
We're going to need to move on. The best way to do very early stage financing, the stage you're in, is in the form of convertible debt, not equity.
Okay.
Right now, your valuation is so low that any kind of equity financing is going to be, unduly diluted.
Consumed everything.
At this stage, the best thing is convertible debt. You can convert it into equity later on when the round is priced and so forth. But in your case, I wouldn't assume that you are ever going to raise money. You may have to do this organically, because it's not clear to me that this is a venture scale growth company.
Yeah, I got your point. So there's some magic is going to happen, and only then I'm going to raise that money. So thanks a lot. I'm really excited about the entire thing, about Dan's review and the answers that you gave me. This is my first thing that I've done, so I'm really excited. Thanks a lot.
Well, good luck. I am actually a big traveler, so I was listening to you and getting points that you're making are very, very true. Storing luggage, in a railway station is tricky.
And the
washrooms are tricky. All right, Prateek, we're going to need to move on. Thank you very much for your presentation. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Okay, we're going to do a few very quick video tutorials, folks. It's something that I've been trying to squeeze in for a few sessions today till now, and we haven't been able to find the time because all the sessions tend to be booked up. So today we have a bit of time to do that. Maureen, why don't you run the first of the videos? So folks, the reason I'm making this point is that many of you are looking at these different accelerators like Y Combinator and TechStars who give you a certain amount of pre-seed financing. So there is a huge attraction to getting, you know, $100,000, a little more than $100,000 for 5 to 7% equity to get into TechStars and Y Combinator. These are good accelerators. And however, remember that these are venture funds, and what they are trying to do is find companies that are as validated as possible so that they can make money by investing in your company. Their business model is they have to make money through their investment in your company. So the more validated and the more compelling a presentation that you go to them with, a scenario that you go to them with, the more likely you will be to get into one of those accelerators and access that pre-seed capital. So in this case, you know, I showed you an example of Naveen Shetty, who actually was at one of these roundtables as a guest and mentored entrepreneurs and gave his more detailed story as well. You can look it up on the YouTube channel, but it's something that you need to keep in mind as one of the options of getting pre-seed financing is to go to an accelerator that does put in significant amounts of money. Not these 15K, 20K accelerators. Those I think are neither here nor there. But an accelerator that gives you $100,000 or a bit more than $100,000, maybe $120,000 for 5 to 7% equity is a reasonable option, and that's something that you could look into as your pre-seed option. Okay. Maureen, let's go to entrepreneurship as a marathon, not a sprint. So this is a point that I want to make loud and clear, and it actually gives me a good segue into something that we need help from you on, is bringing serious entrepreneurs into 1M1M. You know, the entrepreneurship universe has become full of entrepreneurs who think that this is something really easy. You just kind of quickly you put in 1 year of work and you walk out with $5 million, $10 million. This is not how entrepreneurship works. And we are not interested in working with those kinds of entrepreneurs who have these unrealistic expectations and don't have the commitment and the work ethic to really do it right. It's going to be difficult. You know, building a business takes a long time, and it's really difficult to do. So if you really are a serious entrepreneur, we are interested in working with you, and you are going to have to adjust your mindset such that you can, you know, really steer through all the ups and downs and the experimentation period to really get to something that makes sense and scales and so on and so forth. So the next one I want to share with you is, can solopreneurs succeed? Maureen, if you could run the video, please. So, typically the point of view of accelerators is that they don't want to work with solopreneurs. They want teams. This is completely contrary to our point of view. We have no problems with solopreneurs. If you're starting alone and you're starting to understand what is the business that you're going to be doing, how do you validate that, how do you, work out how to put one foot before the other. Our philosophy is you always start alone, and then you bring people, along as you go along. And these are the days of very, very capital efficient company building. We have a lot of virtual companies being built all over the place. We ourselves run our company as a virtual company. We are not a solo, not a one-person company. We have a team, but it's not a very large team, and it's not a team that sits in one office. So we are very, very comfortable with all these 21st century business building ideas. And we are seeing companies that are scaling to $10 million, $20 million with virtual models. So all that is fine. You figure out what works. You figure out, most of all, the customers, the revenue model, and how you can be profitable. Those are the three things that determine whether you're going to be a successful business or not. Whether you do it alone, you do it with hired employees, or you do it with co-founders, or you do it with virtual teams, it really doesn't matter. There are many, many ways of succeeding. I think, Maureen, we're going to stop there for today and do the rest next time, because I want to take more questions in case there are more questions. So before we go to Q&A, folks, we're going to go into Q&A within the next 5 minutes. Let me just run you through how to use 1M if you decide that you want to use us as your acceleration platform. Resources-wise, everything is at 1Mby1M.com. You'll find a terrific blog that is full of case studies, and you will be able to learn tons and tons and tons just by following the blog. Then you have the Entrepreneur Journeys book series. All of these are available on Amazon. There are 12 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys books, and you can double-click down on whichever one of these that you want to learn more about. If you want to learn about positioning, you can click down on the positioning book. You can, if you want to learn about bootstrapping with a paycheck, go buy the Bootstrapping with a Paycheck book and read that. If you want to build a unicorn and want to understand better how people build unicorns, you can go to $1 Billion Unicorns. So you have lots of options, and that's another way of getting into the methodology of the book, of the program. And it's 12 to 16 case studies per book. So you learn through case studies, just like you learned from Dan today how he's been building Clean It Supply, the same philosophy of learning from people who have done it before. We do these roundtables every week. So next week is actually a milestone roundtable, 350th roundtable. And we have had thousands and thousands of people come to these sessions from all over the world. And it's really thrilling to see what's happening in different parts of the world, in the minds and brains and hearts of entrepreneurs in different parts of the world. And it's fascinating. It's downright fascinating. If you want to use the full 1M1M acceleration program, you have access to 1M1M Premium. And we offer you extensive methodology guidance. We have a full online curriculum that is taught in video lectures and case studies. We've had over 750 successful entrepreneurs participate as in the case study program, offering you their insights, and you get to stand on their shoulders. You have business development. You have strategy consulting, similar roundtable format strategy consulting on your project. That's the project-based consulting portion. You learn methodologies using the curriculum, and you get actual input in the roundtable format. We help you with introductions to potential customers, channel partners, investors, media, analysts. And we, in terms of financing, we will introduce you to investors, but you have to get to something what we call fundable. You know, you have to get to a fundable state before we do that. So we will help you get there if your business has those characteristics. We will, you know, give you lots of coaching on financing strategy, what is viable, what is not viable for your business, what is the right path forward, how to put one foot before the other. My recommendation is go to the 1M1M self-assessment. This is something that's freely available on the website, and it's a set of questions. These are questions that investors would ask you, but we want you to ask these questions of yourselves so that you can, you know, feel good about your strategy. And if you get stuck in terms of methodology in any of these questions, you can use 1M1M Basic, which is our curriculum-only option, and, you know, start learning methodology. You have to learn methodology. You know, there's no choice. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to learn methodology, and you have to figure out some strategy of learning methodology efficiently. And our strategy is the curriculum, which is a case studies-based curriculum where we teach you through the experiences and examples of other entrepreneurs who've done it before you. And it's in video lectures and case studies. That's pretty much it. You can go through the website. There's tons and tons of information, FAQs, video FAQs, etc. You will have a chance to really understand the program and then decide if it's for you or not. It is, our methodology is bootstrapped entrepreneurship. You have to do lean, capital efficient, bootstrapped entrepreneurship for a while before you become fundable, and that is just the reality of how this business works. So you need to be mentally in that state where you're willing to do that, you're ready to do that, and it's tough. And you have to be prepared for a lot of rigorous self-learning and learning with these curriculum and roundtable mode. If you're not willing to do that, we won't be able to impact your situation. You know, just by joining the program, it's like a gym. You know, you can't just join a gym and expect that you're going to lose weight and get in shape. You're going to have to do the work. The same thing. 1M1M is an entrepreneurship gym. We will give you the tools and the machines to work with, but you have to work. You have to work out. And that's how we're going to be able to impact your situations. That's pretty much it. The upcoming roundtables are pretty much every Thursday until the end of May. And we are back to Q&A. Anybody has a question, welcome to dial in or ask in public chat. Go ahead and ask your questions. And while you're getting your questions ready, let me introduce you to Irina Patterson. Irina is on the 1M1M team, and she'll be happy to answer your questions about the program. And we have a little bit of time left for Q&A if you would like that time. Anybody? Dan, thank you for staying through the program and, coaching Prateek and also a wonderful, really wonderful early part of the discussion where you shared your story and your insights and so forth. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to see you. You're doing wonderful things for a lot of people out there. If I can say I'm proud of you and I'm proud to be part of your today's program, thank you, and best of luck to you and all of your membership there. So thanks again.
Great. Well, I don't see any questions. And if I don't see questions, that means we have come to the end of the session. We will meet you back here next week. Please register on the site to pitch if you want to reserve a slot in the upcoming sessions, any of them. And we will look forward to working with you. Remember, this is a working session. It's a safe working session. And we will work with you week after week after week to help you accelerate your journey. Thank you for coming today, and we look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.